Hey Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihare Radha Madhuva Kunya Vihare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihare Dhova Kunya Vihare Gopi Jana Malaba Girivardhati Gopi Jana Malaba Girivardhati Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachante Yamuna Tera Manachante Jayarano Madhava Kunya Bihati Jayarado Madhuva Kunya Bihati Gopi Jana Balagoba Hire Baladhare Gopi Jana Malaba Hire Baladhare Yasonanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasonanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Vanachagudev Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jayarad Ubadhuva Kunya Vihati Jayarad Ubadhuva Kunya Vihati Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paracharya Altogether Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Thakur Ki Jai Ramse Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bravo Nityananda Shweta Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Gajaya Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shaima Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Gajaya Vrindavanam Kijai Maturam Kijai Jagadasami Kijai Yamuna Mai Kijai Shimani Lasi Devi Kijai Samveda Bhakta Vrindi Kijai Gaur Premananda Hari Haribol. Oh, glorious the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious the assembled devotees. Oh, glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale. Shimali Bhakti Vedanta Samani Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pacharni. Nivashesha Shanyavadi Paschatchadejatarni. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 63rd Chapter, Text 8. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kumbanda Kupakarnabhyam Balena Saha Sangyuga Sambasya Mana Putrena Banena Saha Satyake Kumbanda Kupakarnabhyam Balena Saha Sangyuga Sambasya Badaputrena Banena Saha Satyake Kumbanda Kupakarnabhyam Balena Saha Sangyuga Sambasya Banaputrena Banena Saha Satyake Kumbanda Kupakarnabhyam Balena Saha Sangyuga Sambasya Banaputrena Banena Saha Satyake. Okay. right? Kumbanda kupakarnapyam. By Kumbanda and Kupakarna. Valena Saha. With Lord Balarama. Sangyuga. A fight. Sangmasya of Samba. Manaputrena. With the son of Bana. Banena Saha. With Bana. Satyake. Translation. Lord Balaram fought with Kumbanda and Kupakarna. Samba with Bana's son. And Satyaki with Bana. So you can repeat. Lord Balaram fought with Kumbanda and Kupakarna. Samba with Bana's son. And Satyaki with Bana. So, anyway, Jiva Goswami's commentary is pretty much the same as the translation. So we're going to go on for see how many verses. So text 9. Brahmandaya Suradisha Muniya Siddha Charana Gandharvapsaraso Yaksha Vimannadrashtum Agamam. Brahma and the other ruling demigods, along with Siddhas, Charanas, and great sages, as well as Gandharvas, Apsaras, and Yakshas, all came in their celestial airplanes to watch. It's a stadium. And Jiva Goswami mentions briefly, Brahma is mentioned first since he was the head of the Devatas. The list is from greater to lesser beings. And Sanatana Goswami adds a little bit something here. The list of those who observed is from superior to inferior. The Devatas came mainly to make Shiva come to his senses. That's very interesting. So we could speak about that. But I actually wanted to read the next verse, and then we'll talk about that. So we'll just continue with the next 2 verses. Shankaranucharan Sharir Bhuta Pramata Guyakan Dakinir Yatudhanamscha Vithalansa Vinayakan Pretamatrir Pishachamscha Kushmantan Rama Rakshasan Dravayam Asa Tikshna Krai Sharai Sharna Danushchutai. Translation: with sharp-pointed arrows discharged from his bow, Sharanga, Lord Krishna drove away the various followers of Lord Shiva. Bhutas, Pramatas, Guyakas, Dakinis. They're ladies, I think. Yatudanas. Pretty sure that they're ladies. So lady fighters, too. Yatudhanas, Vetalas, Vinayakas, Pretas, Matas, Pishachas, Kushmandas, and Brahma Rakshasas. Quite a nice family. So we'll just read the commentaries and then we'll speak a little bit. Jiva Goswami says another version has Bhuta, Matra, Pishachan, but this would be repetition since Bhuta, Pramata, Guyakan is found in the previous verse. The mothers of the Bhutas are persons other than Parvati and mothers of the Devatas. Krishna drove them away with arrows shot from the Shanga bow, but did not kill them since they were followers of his devotee Shiva. This shows his great mercy. So, in Sanatana Goswami's commentary, Krishna defeated the followers dispatched by Shiva in his fight with Krishna. This is described in 2 verses. The Bhutas were born from the Devatas. This list is progressively more ferocious and inferior in nature. Just like the other list, had Brahma first and then going down. And so you also have the more ferocious and inferior ferocious. So pretas are a type of pisachas. Krishna drove them away. Pretas are like ghosts of your forefathers that are haunting you because you didn't do pinda. For those of you who don't know what pinda is, pinda means you perform the sacrifice for your forefathers to free them from the ghostly bodies, and then they go to Pitri Loka to enjoy it. And if you don't do that, your forefathers become pretas, and they haunt you. Anyway, this is the tradition. Pretas are a type of pisacha. Krishna drove them away using arrows shot from his bow. He did not kill them because they were followers of Shiva. The arrows were thus unfailing in their target and swift. So again, Om Gana Timidandasha, Gananjana Shalakya Chakshur, Unmilitam Yena Tasmai, Shri Gurave Namaha. So here you find Lord Shiva and his associates. Yesterday we heard some of the stories about Lord Shiva, and which are very interesting stories. And we also heard today that the demigods, or Lord Brahma and the demigods, came to try to bring Lord Shiva to his senses so that he would stop fighting Krishna, which is interesting. And actually, Lord Shiva is always controlling his senses. He's a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Shiva is under the influence of Yoga Maya. And the demigods didn't understand this. Why is Lord Shiva under the influence of Yoga Maya? And why did Yoga Maya put him under her influence? So that Krishna could enjoy this ras. As we talked about many times before, you can analyze all the pastimes of the Lord from the standpoint of what? Ras. Actually, this Sunday, I thought it was quite interesting. I'd never thought about it before I started giving class on Sunday, because I was planning on talking about the different avatars. That was a Sunday's class, different types of avatars. And then when I started, it's interesting how you get realizations when you're preaching and speaking about something, isn't it? And when you just read, you're trying to squeeze the realizations out, but they don't come. But when you start preaching Krishna consciousness, really interesting. I remember when I was going on Sankirtan for so many hours a day, the realizations were just like popping, flowing, isn't it? When you were in Radha Damodar all day long distributing Prabhupada's books, and you get back at night, wow, you read something that's just like as Huxley said, the doors of perception. Sorry to use that example, because that's not a good example. But it's like the doors of perception open. Wow, that's a fact. So anyway, this Sunday I was talking about the different avatars, different types of avatars, and then we got to the Purusha avatars. And the Purusha avatars, of course, again, to reiterate, that's Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And so, it's quite amazing thinking about, you read in the Bible about how the Lord creates this material world, and he somehow or other, he did this on the first day, did that on the second day, did that on the third day. It's really not that unusual, it's unusual that he's creating the material world, but it's not such an exciting, like variegated thing, isn't it? It's just like, so what? Creates in 7 days. But when Krishna does something, he just picks the most interesting way of doing things. Unimaginable. If I had to think about, before I came to the Krishna conscious movement, how God created the material world, I would think about it, maybe he called for, well, maybe demigods or whatever to do it. I can't figure that out. And, but, or I would come to the conclusion that, God wanted it to happen because the nature of God is what? He's omnipotent, and he's, as we mentioned this Sunday, he's Swarat, he's independent, he's Aptakama, he gets what he wants. That's the nature of God. Even I understood that before I came to the Krishna consciousness movement, that the nature of God is he simply wants something and it happens. But Krishna could do it like that, just like Krishna could basically have Lord Shiva just surrender to him. It could happen like this in this particular pastime. That Lord Shiva could say, hey, there's my worshipful deity, Lord Krishna. Of course, Shiva's actually chanting the name of Ram, but he would actually recognize that Ram and Krishna are the same. I mean, it doesn't take much intelligence to understand that. But so it could have been arranged like that. Lord Shiva could say, okay, I surrender, my devotee made a mistake. Please forgive him. But Krishna wants to do things in an interesting way, just like he creates the material world by going to sleep and breathing out and entering into each universe and sweating and creating the Garbhodak ocean. I mean, Krishna is so great. When I hear these things, I just think, wow, Krishna's always enjoying these different rasas. Chivalry. Here in this story, of course, there's chivalry. There's also some ghastliness. The Bhutas, Pretas, Pisachas, they're pretty ghastly even in of themselves without fighting with them. Isn't it? If you think, Pretas. Ooh. It's like the worst horror movie you've ever seen in your life. I don't know if you've ever seen a horror movie. I used to watch them, like the Axe Murderer or oh my God. So many different horror movies on Saturday, the Saturday matinee, my mother would take me to the horror movies. But this is like the worst incredible, ghastly horror movie you've ever seen in your life. If you could make one day maybe with the advent of AI, you can actually describe all these different creatures, right? And it would be, it would scare a little kid so he wouldn't sleep for a week after seeing this movie. So in other words, there's ghastliness here. These are all not all of them. Some of them aren't so bad. But they're pretty ghastly. And there's fighting, there's anger here. Krishna is really angry. Lord Shiva is angry. Later on, we're going to hear about the Shiva Dwara and the Vishnu Dwara and everything like that. There's all sorts of anger, chivalry, compassion. Here's also compassion because Lord Shiva, what? Lord Shiva's associates were not killed by Krishna because he was compassionate. They're my devotees. That's another point. If we're the associates of a great devotee, or connected, like to Prabhupada, Krishna will treat us better. Actually, it's a very interesting point. I'm not saying we won't die, but Krishna will treat us better. So it's really good to keep associated with a great devotee. Even if that great devotee happens to be, of course, Prabhupada never fought with Krishna, but even if, like in the case of Lord Shiva, he fights with Krishna, but still he's a great devotee, and he's fulfilling Krishna's desire, and that's Yogamaya. So, anyways, with that brief introduction, I wanted to read something about Lord Shiva so we can understand more about his exalted position as Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu. He's not simply or only Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu, or the greatest Vaishnava, but he's actually in a special category by himself. In other words, he's not Jiva Tattva. He's not Shakti Tattva. He's not Vishnu Tattva. But he has his own category. And in that particular category, sometimes we describe it as Shiva Tattva, although Prabhupada didn't use that particular expression. But in his own category, he has his own expansions too, in different ways. So we'll start with reading from the Brahma Samhita, which describes the ontological position of Lord Shiva. Ontological means what his identity is, who he is. Like, you say the ontological position of the Jiva soul is Nitya Krishna Das. Gopi Bharta Padakamala Dasa Dasa Dasanu Das. That's the ontological position. Or Mamivangsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Like this, part and parcel, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Prabhupada translates that verse. So I'm going to read from the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, text 45, in case anyone wants to look it up. And it's really, I'm going to read the commentary also by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who wrote this commentary. And of course, it's very elevated language that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in. So first the Sanskrit. Shiram yata dadadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tatra pritakasti heto yak sang. Whoops, this is disappearing now. Hold on a second. Sometimes that goes off after a while. Yak shambhutam apitata samupatikaryad govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. And let me give the word by word synonyms. I'll just read them. We don't repeat them. Ashira means milk. Yata as the yogurt. Vikara vishesha, of a special transformation. So this actually word vikara is very, very interesting. Because vikara, the Krishna actually doesn't get transformed himself, nor is he subject to illusion. But Krishna transforms. Well, he doesn't transform himself in terms of Vishnu Tattva, but he creates expansions from himself. So yogat, by the application, sanjayati, is transformed into not. He indeed, tata, from the milk, pitag, separated, asti, is heto, which is the cause, ya, who, shambhutam, the nature of Lord Shiva, api, also, tata, thus, samupaiti, accepts karyat, for the matter of some particular business. Govindam, Govinda Adi Purusham, the original person, Tam, him, Ham, I, Bhajami, worship. So the translation is, just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, yet the effect curd is neither the same as nor different from its cause, that is milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. Remember, but there's actually much more to Shambhu than just destruction. But actually, that's one of the functions. So let's read Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's purport. Hope we have time for all this. The real nature of Shambhu, the presiding deity of Maheshnam, is described. Maheshnam, of course, is Lord Shiva's Dham, which is in between the material world and spiritual world. Shambhu is not. Another point is Lord Shiva expands originally from this expansion of Shiva called Sada Shiva in the spiritual world. Because I was always wondering about this, because you hear that Advaita Acharya is Vishnu Tattva, but then he's also considered Sada Shiva, and he's also considered Mahavishnu, isn't it? So I had this question, and nobody could answer the question until I went to my god brother, Gopi Puranadana Prabhu. And I said, Sadashiva, is he Vishnu Taba? Because Shiva generally is not Vishnu Taba. He's a special category. And then Gopi Pranadana Prabhu explained to me that Sadashiva is a Vishnu Tattva expansion of Krishna or Lord Vishnu in the spiritual world. And from that Vishnu Tattva expansion expands Lord Shiva. Let's see. Shambhu is not a second godhead other than Krishna. In other words, he's not God. Those who entertain such discriminating sentiment, in other words, those who think that he's a second godhead, he's God, commit a great offense against the Supreme Lord. And of course, there's that verse. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarura Daivita Smitvayanaiva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhavetrudam Truvam. Those who think, Brahmarudradi Daivata, who think that the demigods, like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, are equal to Lord Vishnu, are Pashandis. They're atheists. The supremacy of Shambhu is subservient to that of Govinda. In other words, he serves Govinda. Hence, they are not really different from each other. Again, Achincha Beta Beta Tattva, one and different simultaneously, which is in one sense a description of the Jiva souls too, in one sense a description of Krishna's energies, like Srimati Radharani. This Achincha Beta Beta Tattva philosophy is applicable practically for every aspect of our understanding of Krishna consciousness, every understanding of Sambandha. The non-distinction is established by the fact, in other words, the oneness, is established by the fact that just as milk treated with acid turns into curd, so Godhead becomes subservient when he himself attains a distinct personality by the addiction of a particular element of adulteration. What does that mean? Adulteration means when you get something that's contaminated. Like you say, this milk is adulterated because the milk has something in it. So, of course, this adulteration is not that Lord Shiva is subject to adulteration, but he comes in contact with adulteration. And that's his different identity. We should never think that Lord Shiva is in illusion or is in the mode of ignorance. But he's in contact. Krishna never comes in contact with this material energy. This personality has no independent initiative. The said adulterating principle is constituted, this is really, I have to unpack this language. The said adulterating principle is constituted of a combination of the stupefying quality of the diluting energy. Now, stupefying means, basically what it sounds like, stupid. Stupefying, it makes you dull. Quality of the diluting energy, material energy. The quality of non-plenitude of the marginal potency, and the slight degree of ecstatic cognitive principle of the plenary spiritual potency. So it's constituted, Lord Shiva is constituted by not Lord Shiva, but the adulterating principle is the material energy, okay, which is combined with all these different things. A slight degree of the ecstatic cognitive principle of the plenary spiritual potency. In other words, it's an expansion of Krishna in between the Jiva souls and Krishna. This specifically adulterated reflection of the principle, the subjective portion of the divinity, is Sadashiva in the form of the effulgent masculine symbol Shambhu, for whom Rudradev is manifested. So Shambhu, of course, there's not time to explain everything here, but this is amazing language. Shambhu is basically the description in the Vedic literatures of the progenitive principle. When Lord Vishnu looks at the material creation, that is the name of that glance is Shambhu, is Lord Shiva. And from that Shambhu, Lord Shiva expands as the Rudra Dev, and Rudra Dev specifically manifests anger. In the work of mundane creation as the material cause, and the work of preservation by the destruction of the sundry asuras, and the work of destruction to conduct the whole operation, the whole material world, Govinda manifests himself as Guna Avatar in the form of Shambhu. In other words, mundane creation means this material, creating the material world, preserving, preservation by the destruction of the demons, and the work of destruction. So all these are different aspects of the Guna avatars, not only Lord Shiva. Govinda manifests himself as a Guna avatar in the form of Lord Shiva, who is the separated portion of Govinda, imbued with the principle of the subjective plenary portion. Everybody understands that? No. Subjective, it doesn't mean it's an aspect of him. It's not objective, it's subjective. The personality of the destructive principle in the form of time has been identified with that of Shambhu by scriptural evidences that have been advanced in the commentary. In other words, Shambhu also represents time's destructive aspect. You know, as Krishna says, Kalo Asmi. So Shambhu is that manifestation of the destructive aspect of time. Time also creates things too. You know, time is not just destructive. You know, there's a creation that happens in time. There's a maintenance that happens in time. You know, the three modes of nature. So, Lord Shiva, okay. Let's see, has been done by the Shambhu by scriptural evidence. The purport of the Bhagavatam shlokas, that is, Vaishnavam Yata Shambhu, etc., is that Shambhu, in pursuance of the will of Govinda, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu means of all Vaishnavas, Shambhu is the best, works in union, works together with his consort wife, Durga Devi, by his own time energy. All right. He teaches pious duties, dharma, as stepping stones to the attainment of spiritual services in the various Tantra Shastras. So in other words, there's many Tantra Shastras in which Lord Shiva is teaching preliminary sub-religious principles, like Ten Commandment type of stuff like that. The Tantra basically means, Tantra means to connect. The word means to connect. Tantra doesn't mean something that's bad, doesn't necessarily mean something that's good. It just means different activities that connect you. You know, there's left-handed Tantra, right-handed Tantra. In the various Tantra sides, suitable for jivas in different grades of the conditional existence. In other words, it's meant for us in this material world. In obedience to the will of Govinda, Shambhu maintains and fosters the religion of pure devotion by preaching the cult of illusionism, Mayavad, and the speculative Agama Shastras. In other words, when he appears as Shankaracharya. That's what he's referring to. And the 50 attributes of individual souls, you can read the Nectar of Devotion to hear those, are manifest in far vaster measure in Shambhu, and 5 additional attributes not attainable by jivas are also partly found in. This list is actually in the Nectar of Devotion, in case you want to read, which I don't have time to read now. So Shambhu connect, in other words, he has 5 more qualities than the jivas have. So Shambhu cannot be called a jiva. He is the Lord of jiva, but he partakes of the nature of the separated portion of Govinda. So in what sense, he's our father. He's the Lord of the jivas in this material world. And he also has part of the qualities of the nature of the separate of Govinda, but not the full qualities of Govinda. So that's Lord Shiva. So here's some more interesting aspects. So Lord Shiva is also called Ashutosh. Ashutosh means is easily pleased and easily angered. And we already mentioned that his original form is Sadashiv in the spiritual world. And he has a planet, Sadashiva has a planet in the spiritual world. And so many other stories. Why is Lord Shiva called the Vaishnavanam Vitashambhu? Because he's always serving Krishna. He's dedicated to Krishna. He serves Krishna in his various pastimes. And he also gives mercy to all these different bhutas, pretas, pisachas that are mentioned here. So he's very compassionate. And as described in the Bhagavatam, he's always looking for, let's say, parents to give birth to them in this world. That's the story, of course, of Diti and Kashyapa. Kashyapa says that to Diti, that because Diti wants to have what? A relationship or wants to have children. It's an inauspicious time. So basically, Kashyapa says that Lord Shiva is going around with his associates looking to implant them in the wombs of different ladies at a particular time, which is like the twilight time and everything like that. That's why there's certain inauspicious times for parents to actually have sex life. Because in those inauspicious times, such as when there's a thunderstorm, like Prabhupada said that when there's a lot of lightning and hail and everything like that, and someone's being born, demons are being born at that particular point. Anyway. So, and Lord Shiva, there's many different pastimes of Lord Shiva. He also protects the holy Dham. He's known as Kundeshwara, Chakaleshwara. He is worshipped by the gopis to get Krishna as a husband. He gets rid of anxieties. If you worship him, he's called, in Vrindavan, he's called Chincha Haran. You ever heard this before? That means he who takes away Chincha Haran Mahadev, he gets rid of your anxieties. Because he's a devotee, and if you respect him as a devotee anyway. And there's one final story about in Vrindavan, once upon a time, this Shiva came to see little baby Krishna, and Mother Yashoda didn't like the way he looked. Said, "Get away from here." She thought, "Here's a dirty old sadhu," and so Krishna kept crying until Yashoda Mai understood that she should bring that sadhu back. And that sadhu was Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva got a chance to hold little baby Krishna and play with him.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Taksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Akom Vikamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyan Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namante Namaste, Tadasati Deve, Gurmani Majar, Negisha, Shunyavade, Masya Jagade, Zatarande. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siddhaita Gadada Siva Sari Gaurvata Vrindana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurvata Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadada Siva Sati Gaurvata Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Nana Nana Rate Jaya Nana Nana Rate Rate Rane 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 Shri Radha